guess what? I finished my traveler's notebook. I can't wait to show you. We're going to do a flip through today. Okay. You know me. If you don't know me yet, hi, my name is Dion, the Whimsical Misfit, and I love journals. I love journals. I love notebooks. I love making them. These two traveler's notebooks I purchased. This one I used to use very often. I would track and plan my personal finances in this one. And I used this one, I looked at them both to look at the designs and see how I wanted to design the one that I made. And so inside here, this, oh, sorry, you can hang out. Sorry for bumping you. Okay. So there's three, well, there's four, this one's doubled up, but there's three elastic bands in here to hold the things that usually the traveler's notebook, like the refills, will go in here. Okay, so this is a traveler's notebook, right? But then I also see like the refills that go in here called traveler's notebooks. So sometimes I just call this a traveler's notebook, and then these one of the traveler's notebook refills. So that's what I'm talking about. I hope those are the right words. But these are elastic. This used to have the 3 notebook refills in here, but I liked these little pockets and the little storage sealed bags and things. So I just have been using 1 or 2 notebooks in the middle here, but these filled up, so I took them out. But I did use this for design ideas for the one that I made with my bare hands. Now this one here is different. And I also use this for design ideas because I liked how, see how there's like there's a little charm or a loop here. You could attach like a dangle or something there. And this one has 1 elastic band down the middle, but there's 3 notebooks stacked inside. So I wasn't trying to go for that, but I thought that was really helpful to know. I haven't written in this one yet because not only do I write in journals, sometimes I collect them, and I think her day will be written and will come, but it just hasn't come quite yet. So for this, I needed both hands. We needed both hands. So this is the one that I made myself with things I had on hand. I wanted it to look like a hardback book, so I found this design on Canva actually. So I printed it. I think this is 67-pound paper, although it wouldn't matter if it was thinner paper because I glued it onto the paper bag. I tried to avoid the areas because I knew I was going to sew, but it's usually okay if I wait for the glue to fully dry. But I know it's probably not a good idea to sew where you glue, but I do it anyways. I just make sure that it's fully dry because I'm not trying to gum up my machine, you know what I'm saying? So I had a paper bag, the paper, and then the fabric. I sewed that together, and then on the inside I glued another piece of 67-pound paper, printed this design as well to make it just thicker, more sturdy. I could add a pocket or a band in here, I just haven't done that yet. So she's finished, but she's always going to have room to grow, you know? I used 3 eyelets because I wanted the finished look of the eyelets. I do this often when I'm binding my other journals, and I wanted to do that here. I also, as you can see, when I put the cord in, I kept it inside like that brown traveler's notebook that I showed you because I wanted to do it differently. A lot of my soft cover fabric journals, I will string them down here, but I want to do different spines. I don't only want to do that one. I want it to look a little bit different. So I opted for that. I like the fabric, how it just adds a little something different. I wanted to put something on the front too, but if I'm going to try to actually take this with me if I leave for the day or whatever, then I don't want it to get caught. But also, if this wears out or if things get caught or torn or whatever, I think that's okay. I think it's okay to look different, maybe older, like it gets used, because it does. So I'm actually hoping that she'll look a little tattered. I might take her with me sometimes just to see how she looks. So these I made also. This one I had kicking around for a while. I still have a lot of these papers. I still have a lot. So this was a paper that I bought. It's not super thick cardstock, but it's thicker than your average paper. It's probably maybe around 67-pound weight paper-ish. But anyway, I like the design. I just used some random papers, and I started using it, that I got from the thrift store I'm using this traveler's notebook to write. I have plants, I have a garden, and we live in an apartment, so it's like either balcony gardening or I started using hydroponic setups. I purchased a few. So I'm writing notes about that and then sprouts and microgreens. That's what I'm using this for. So I'm already using it just to see. I wanted to use it for that to begin with. But I also wanted to see how functional it is. So if I make another one, like what would I change? And so I made this one though. This is 67-pound cardstock. Printed this design in this one. So I folded this in half long ways and then folded up the long part to make this the same measurements. And this has been the standard size for the other traveler's notebook refills that I buy. So I made this the same size, made a little pocket. I wasn't sure how functional that would be, but I've been using it here, and although I haven't written in this notebook yet, it seems functional, because if I was to open here, things wouldn't fall out. They're not falling out. This bent a little bit, so I would probably, I could trim that down next time, but I'm not too bothered by it. I'm okay with that. Maybe if this was going to be like for sale or someone else, I might trim that down, or just kind of give them a heads up, like, hey, that can happen. And another thing I would do, I would bind it a little tighter. It's a little looser, but when I use it, it doesn't bother me. Like, it's not too loose. But if I was going to make another one, I'd want to resolve that, or maybe use the elastic bands, or just find a way that maybe each signature would be tied in the middle, like maybe put through double and then tied super tight in the middle. So, but for here, I bet you I could scoot. No, I couldn't scoot these in and out. Because here's one of the things that I'd probably either change for the next design or adapt, maybe make these papers thicker and use a different little something. Or, because if you can see here, I like how there's not much, there's a little room on the outside here, but there's not like a huge gap. But that would also be helpful if there were going to be tabs sticking out here. Then you'd have room so your tabs could more likely stay intact. Because look at this. We have an eyelet here and an eyelet here. So the cord has to come up and around and then come back up again. And so that doesn't bother me on my notebooks, but I know for this one, also because maybe the paper's thinner, it's kind of tearing here. So I'm okay with that for mine. But like I said, if I were to do this again, I would probably do a few things differently. So I'm just kind of seeing how I like this and what I would actually change. Because to use this, it doesn't bother me that it's floppy. But for the next one, I would probably want to do it a little bit different. And I've got ideas for that too. But I do love how this one turned out. And this one, I think I told you this was a bunch of random papers that I got at the thrift store. And sometimes the beauty of a pristine and unused notebook is like, okay, you're going to stay that way. I'm going to add you to the collection. But this one I had no problem diving in and using. It really helped the words come out. It's a little something I'm learning about how my brain works, and so that was really helpful. I also have this one. There's a few random pages, but for the most part, I printed out some graph paper, as you can see, because that's what I've been liking lately. I think one of the great things about making your own traveler's notebook refills is that you can use any kind of paper you want. Like if I wanted it to be unlined stationery with, maybe dragons on the corners or something like that, I could just do whatever I wanted. But I like the graph paper. I like incorporating some other pieces in there. I really wanted, you can't tell, because there's a way to stack your paper so that it looks like it's precisely measured and then it's got this finished look. But when it's handmade, and I knew that I wanted to do kind of like, junk journal style, not perfect, I think it's fine. I was trying to do it a little bit more precisely cut, but I made there were some user errors really, not really errors because it was what it is. Well, that's not what I expected, so we're just going to really make it unexpected. So this one turned out more like I was hoping for it to. But I also think if I'm going to hand make a notebook, I'm I'm going to let myself be free to play and not try to make it look store-bought and perfect, not try to make it be store-bought and perfect. It can be presented nicely like this and this and this, but I don't really think that's a flaw because I made this myself. You know, I made it all myself with what I have. It is beautiful, and if I were to make another notebook, I would also highlight that feature as well. It is handmade. It's not going to be like it was made by a machine. And I think that can be a good thing because it just is. It's just different, you know? So, because I guess I felt like I wanted to tell you that because it bothered me when I was first making this. Like, oh my goodness, why can't I make it like a machine can? Well, because I'm not a machine. I'm a human. And I love what I made. And I'm super proud of my work. And I think there's no harm in thinking what I would do differently next time. Because see here, I didn't expect this because one thing I did not do was measure this to this, and I probably would have done it the same anyways because I didn't want the huge gap on the top of the bottom of the notebooks inside, and I wanted to do the eyelets and I wanted to do the cord. I didn't want to do it on the outside either, but that's also an option that would look really really cool, maybe interesting if I, instead of going here, if I came in or up and ran a cord or something. Ooh, that would be a fun experiment. So, but that's not today and that's not here. Look at this. Traveler's notebook. I love her. She turned out really great. I've already been using her and she's super functional. I don't have a closure for her. I just kind of leave her like this. And I don't find that I need one because I put her in a stack of other journals anyways and I know who she is. So I think I'm just going to leave it like that for now. No closure needed. But if there's any adaptations, I'd be happy to share that with you too. What do you think? Do you love Traveler's Notebooks? Traveler's Notebooks? Are you thinking of making your own? Or do you purchase yours? I don't think there's any wrong way to do it, as long as you're getting the paper that you need to create with. Thank you so much for watching. And if you liked this video, would you do me a favor and like this video and subscribe so you can see my future videos as well? Because I'm almost always making something and it usually involves paper. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.